Hello and welcome to another episode of the Crypto Funnel. We're here to help you shoot your Web3 project to the moon and beyond. My name is Julieta Ose and I'll be your host. For this episode, we sit down with Louis Cooper, Head of Public Relations and the crypto copywriter at Lunar Strategy. So, in this episode, we decided to delve into crypto adoption and what Louis believes to be the future of Web3. So, make sure you stay to the end because we've got some really fantastic questions coming up. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome, Louis.
Hi, it's great to be here. Yeah, I'm the head of PR at Lunar Strategy, and I started off as just a content writer. So I've been in the crypto space since 2019 now. So not long, but I don't think everyone has been in here a long time. So yeah, really looking forward to the interview.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. So I've got a bit of an icebreaker for you. So let's just throw that out. How do you go about educating newbies on Web3 and crypto? For instance, have you managed to get your grandma or your mum even keen on the concept of Web3 and crypto?
I think it's something really hard to educate someone on, especially if it's someone like your grandma. They might not be too convinced about Web 2 right now. So talking to them about, okay, so you're on this website which you don't believe in, and then there's some currency attached to it, and that has value, and trying to convince them why that has value, it's pretty impossible. But for people my age, or maybe someone who's a bit older but understands what's going on, it's still extremely abstract. And I would say that they actually have to try and use crypto in some way. Maybe it's like the most simplest way of just sending some currency to another person, to recognize how it's different than traditional banking and why it could have some value in their life. But trying to convince them why some niche project has a value is pretty difficult. And I would say, like, I wouldn't say it's not worth doing, but I don't know. I feel like Web2 adoption came out of necessity. Like, it was thrown into people's faces, and I feel like that's not happened yet with crypto. So I'm waiting to see when that will happen, and I don't know yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's something that you've got to kind of do in order to kind of grasp and understand the importance of. So yeah, that's a great point. So I think for a lot of people as well, getting into crypto, it's more of like a process of back and forth. It's like you don't jump into it head first as soon as you hear about it, right? So what was the first time that you really felt that caused you to delve into this world of crypto and made you ride that wave? So I know you said
Okay.
2019, but what is it really that just, grabbed you and was like, okay, this is something that I'm going to be looking into?
Right. Well, ironically, to the answer I just gave you, it was a friend. He got me into crypto. I was living in the UK at the time, and he was super, super into crypto. He had his basically entire net worth in crypto, which unfortunately is probably a bit less now. But anyway, he just got me super hyped about it. But I was ready. I was like open for that. And I feel like that's a key, which most people aren't, especially if you have your savings together and everything, which at the time I did not. So I was like, crypto, may as well. And then it spiraled from there. But I needed someone who was super, super convicted about the space, and also someone who was very knowledgeable. And I think that's something which is quite hard to do in crypto. And it's almost harder now that it continues to go on, because there's a lot of projects where it's very hard to explain them in a simple sentence, and it might sound like you have absolutely no idea what's going on. I think I was pretty lucky to get into it that way.
Yeah. Well, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. All right. So echo chambers within the crypto industry are something that I personally struggle with, especially on Twitter. I know I'm not alone. So before we discuss the actual adoption, I would like to touch a bit on falling into these pits, and how would you say they can best be avoided?
Right. So this is something that I'm super passionate about, and it's similar in our everyday lives. I feel like every single time we do something, we are at risk of falling into an echo chamber. I think it's quite a strong word, but when we go about our lives, like, for example, you're living in London right now.
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So everyone is living like a busy, like everyone's doing stuff, lifestyle. You're walking in town, you're thinking, well, like, do I need to be doing more stuff? But you're kind of in an echo chamber, right? Whereas if you would take a step back and go to Leicester, for example, things are a bit more slow paced, and you realize there's like all these different worlds. And I think it's the same with crypto. So especially if you're active on crypto Twitter, etc., you might start following a project and the algorithm begins to do its work. And now all you see is like bullish sentiment around a certain project, a certain ecosystem, and you believe that, or it makes you believe that this is the best thing ever and everyone knows about this project. Whereas if you would take a step outside, for me, the best advice would be to use multiple resources, use anonymous accounts, browse resources when you're not connected to an account. I know that's a bit hard to do, but it's for me, it's kind of obvious when you're in an echo chamber, but I think for some people it's very hard to realize that.
Yeah. Would you say moving to Portugal kind of changed your kind of view on echo chambers? Because you originally as well were in London?
Yeah, I was in Leicester.
Oh, you were in Leicester. Okay. And how
Yeah,
does that differ from to Portugal, would you say?
it's really different. Yeah, everyone in Portugal is doing something. Everyone has an idea that they want to do, whereas in Leicester, people were, I don't know, lived life a slightly different way. So it's hard to get out of that. But if you're just searching for crypto online, then it's very easy to relocate yourself. You don't actually have to move country. You can just sort a couple of things out with your algorithm and you're good to go.
There you go. That's very helpful advice. I still probably want to move country though. I need somewhere sunnier. We're back to the rain, back to the usual weather here.
Yeah, that's why I'm not moving back to the UK.
Yeah, you're happy there. You think you're going to be sticking out in Portugal?
Yeah. Portugal is great for crypto. Initially, it was great for taxes, and I think that's why a lot of people moved here. But now it's become like a lot of conferences are happening, a lot of spaces are happening where you might not get it where you're from. And I don't know how much the Portuguese people like that, but it's good for Twitter. It's good for crypto, not Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess it's good for both. All right. So according to a survey I recently read from a crypto exchange service, cryptocurrencies will see mainstream adoption within the next 10 years. Is this something that you agree with? And if not, where would you say that your thinking differs from that?
I would say it's pretty hard to put a number on. 10 years does seem quite soon, and it depends what we think of when we think of mainstream adoption. If you think of mainstream adoption as when I go into Tesco's, I pay for my meal deal in crypto, probably not. But if you think about it as a way of, a lot of people are storing their money in crypto, a lot of people use the different financial services that are available. Yeah, like I could definitely see that happening, but I do think a lot in this space has to change. And so do you think 10 years is too short, or do you think it's maybe too long?
I don't know. I actually see things. I mean, I think things move. I mean, within this world, as we both know, they move very quickly. And yes, 10 years isn't that long, but then again, I think in crypto years, it is quite long. And I think I would be more on the side of saying yes. I mean, why not? Why not get to a point where you go to Tesco's and you pay for your meal deal with crypto? I don't think 10 years is a far stretch, to be honest with you. I really don't. Just even looking at where we are now. Yeah, I don't know.
But you would pay for it in crypto, but that's very general. So if you were to say, "Oh, pay for it in Bitcoin," I would say 100% no. We wouldn't do that.
Not Bitcoin.
But then
I don't think
if
that
I would
works.
say some sort of like government-backed cryptocurrency, which people don't necessarily want, then yeah. And if we get to that point, have we really changed from what our current system is? Like I have all my money in a bank account and it's just virtual. I don't have that cash in my hand and I just pay with my card, right? So if they turn that into a cryptocurrency, is there a difference?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly in relation to that. I feel like, for example, I think it's Gucci that recently started accepting Dogecoin, right?
You're
Was it
right.
Gucci? Yeah. So, I mean, that for me was a shock in itself. But I think if stuff like that is starting to happen, um, I think mass adoption, yeah, is here sooner than later, I would actually say. I think things are moving pretty quickly.
Just to
Yeah.
go back to our previous question about echo chambers, like that is something which is really hard. If like we both work in crypto, it really seems like everyone knows about crypto. And if you live
Right.
like when you come to
True.
Portugal, you'll realize like, wow, so many people are here working in crypto, and it makes you think like, oh, we have already adopted this, but in
It's
reality,
true.
no, we really haven't.
Absolutely. It's very true. Like I said, echo chambers are something I truly struggle with. And I very often get to a place where I have to, yeah, I basically get shot back into reality and I'm reminded that this isn't, yeah, the reality. Like I would, say something to my little sister, who's not so little anymore. She's actually 23. And so I'd say something in relation to crypto and she would, absolutely look at me with glass eyes, and
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, shot back to reality. But yeah, I think, you're right. I think a big part of it is an echo chamber to some degree. I mean, it's as we work in it. I mean, I'm reading about it constantly. My Twitter feed is purely crypto. The people around me are into crypto. So yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I'm just, I'm really interested to kind of, yeah, see where it goes and continue. I'm really happy as well just to be in this journey, and be one of the very few who at the moment, yeah, I guess know what crypto is.
Yeah. I think it's great, and I think it's great because I think the main disconnect is that people who maybe know what crypto is but really don't want to bother to learn anything about it
Mm,
is their like willingness to try to understand and talk about abstract things as like innovative technology. And I think that's kind of crucial if we want to keep on pushing forward,
mm,
because I feel like if I put myself in someone in the 1960s shoes and then slowly the internet starts getting talked about, I would be 100%, what the hell is this? There's no way this is
right.
actually a thing. There's no way this is going to work. So I think it's kind of the same process.
Yeah. No, that's a fantastic point. Yeah, really interesting. All right. Okay. So moving on, what would you then say is some bullish news that you've recently come across that you believe will aid crypto adoption in taking it forward? Is there anything really fascinating you've come across?
I've
What?
seen a lot of big companies and companies which we usually don't hear of, like, for example, BlackRock. They're openly talking about crypto.
Mm-hmm.
And these are like massive companies which control a lot of assets. And that's really important. I think like until TradFi transitions into crypto, then it's going to be hard for what you talked about, the 10-year timeline of paying for your meal deal in crypto. It's going to be very hard to do that unless there's many more like billions of dollars which are invested into crypto. So I wouldn't pinpoint a specific thing right now,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
overall projects with greater depth of partnerships is definitely something.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Yeah. No, I see what you mean. So, in relation, you've kind of answered this a little bit, but would you say there's anything else that you would say is holding us back from speeding up the adoption process? Is there anything else
Holding us,
holding us back?
hold right. I think there's a lot of things and some things people don't want to hear. One of the main things is sort of like the elitism culture, which some
Okay.
people in crypto have about themselves. They think like it's it's quite contradictory. I think they want adoption, but they want to be recognized as, and they want like some reward for being a veteran in the scene or some sort of like OG adopter. Whereas in
Mm,
reality, if something is adopted, no one really cares if you were here 2 years ago. Like no one asks anyone, oh, when did you get your first bank account? Like it's just we just have them now. And so
right.
people kind of stopping that because they want to keep a community like close. and they want to keep the community how it is now, which is in reality not very big, especially if you're talking about the influencer side. So I think that's a really big thing which people need to get over. And once that's done, I think these people control a lot of the big projects which will enable this adoption. So once they get over that, then we'll be able to move forward. I don't know if that's something you agree with, but it's something which I've seen a lot.
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen a lot of that. Definitely. Yeah, hopefully that's something that decreases as time goes on. Okay, so let's go a bit more personal in relation to your experience in crypto. So when you're searching for the next promising project, how do you go about it? And what are like key things that you look for when you're looking for these projects to either invest in or to educate yourself about?
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. When I think it's something which most people struggle with, and I struggle with myself, especially if you're in echo chambers, like I said, on Twitter or whatever social media platform you use. And when I first started out, I was purely basing it off the friend who got me into crypto and different influences which I look at. And now it's more, I'm looking for mainly one specific thing, and I think it's upcoming now. It's like real yield. So talking about if I'm on a platform, then I want to see some sort of dividend which comes back to the holder of that token. And so if the platform, like to prove that they're a sustainable platform, I need to see that they have some sort of revenue from their platform fees or the services which are layered on top of their platform. And if that's not the case, or if that's not going to be the case in the future, then I find it hard to see why I would invest in that token, even if the platform is very good. I'm investing in the token, which is a separate entity from the platform. So I need to see like, how is money going to be funneled back into the token? And therefore, how is the token going to increase in price for me, so that I don't get married to a project just based on its potential utility?
Nice. That's very actually, yeah, refreshing to hear. Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually heard someone put it that way. So yeah, really good advice there. Everyone is in for a treat with this episode. Okay, and so in relation to Project Wise as well, small cap versus blue chip, what would you say are the pros and cons here? And what do you steer more towards?
For me, it's small cap, and that's for one reason only, is potential upside. And that potential upside stems from the fact that I only have a limited amount of fiat available to invest in crypto. And I would 100% switch to blue chip if I had way more money to invest in crypto.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could afford 10 Bitcoin, I would put all my money in Bitcoin and I'd play around. But the problem is the money that I would be playing around with my small caps would be the same amount of money that I have now in crypto. So it's a bit of it feels a bit of a problem. But I feel like what most people do is they will take profits from the small caps that they invest into and put that into blue chips and not trade that, just hold that. And I think like that's what I plan to do. And I think that's a great plan.
I think that's an absolutely great strategy. And I guess as well, there's a certain kind of vibe of it's funness, isn't it, in relation to these small caps, finding these projects, investing in them. It's, it's fun. But yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic strategy you've got there. All right, Louis, is there anything else you would like to throw out to our listeners before we start to wrap up this episode?
I would like to say one more thing about the echo chambers, and something that we didn't touch on about crypto projects in specifically. And it's something that I wrote about as well, but mainly when you're looking at a crypto project and there's no negative feedback on that project on your feed. So say if I'm looking at Cardano, for example, if I'm in that bubble on my Twitter and that's the main project I'm following, and I never see anyone saying anything bad about the project, then I should need to take a step back and like think critically about what I'm investing in and why everyone around me is saying positive things. And that's because they're also invested. So how can I find a resource which is going to tell me objective information on this project and not be completely biased because they have 50% of their net worth in the project,
Okay.
So yeah, that's, I think, something which everyone should keep in mind, and it's incredibly hard to do, but it's extremely important.
So how do you go about that? So you step back, you consciously take that step to look at opposing information. What tools do you use to go about that?
I think a lot of it comes down to fact checking, because
Okay.
if I see something online and I don't have the time to search for that, I might just take it as face value. That is
Mhm.
something which is correct, and it's so easy to lie on the internet. So I could have come on here and said, "Oh, this is my favorite project, and this is why you have to invest." And if someone doesn't have the time, they might take my advice for it. So, and also trying to find influencers which are full-time researchers, if you want to call them that, and
Mm.
if you think that they post objective content a lot of the time and they fact check themselves, so they give you a fact and they say, this is why and this is the reality, then that's really valuable.
Yeah. Do you have any influencers that you would recommend to our
Uh,
audience? No.
I don't want to promote any
No. All
influencers.
right. No, that's
No.
more than fair. That's more than fair. All right, Louis. Honestly, thank you so much. This was great fun. Where can people find you? Is there anywhere people can find you to hear more
Yeah,
about you from you?
they can find me on my Twitter. I
Hmm.
think it's linked to the Lunar Strategy website. I'm unsure. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, Twitter is the only social media that I use. So
brilliant. Yeah, I think
yeah.
definitely your Twitter and LinkedIn, if you have it, should be linked on the Lunar Strategy website, which is lunarstrategy.com. And make sure you are also following Lunar Strategy on Twitter. Please subscribe if you like this episode and leave a rating. It really helps us out. And definitely share it with someone you think might find it of use. Thank you again, Louis. Till next time, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Bye bye.